What's up, everybody? I'm Macro, and I'm a DJ slash producer based out of Los Angeles, California. I have an awesome tutorial to show you guys. Today's video is going to be about how to make cool sub bass slash like deep Wook basses, just how G-Rex uses in all of his tracks. Huge shout out to Mario Lopez for recommending this video idea. And if you guys have any other recommendations on what you want me to make next and want to learn from, make sure that you leave them in the comments below. So here's the example of what I was able to make. Make sure that if you guys enjoy this video or if you learned something from it, you consider subscribing to my channel. It's crazy to think how with this channel, it already has like over 300 subscribers. I wouldn't have ever thought of even having like 10 subscribers doing this. It really means a lot to me to know that like I'm actually helping people find out how to make sounds and really expand on like how to make things in Ableton. So like this is really cool, and I'm so glad that I'm able to help you guys. So real quick, here's my little plug to my Instagram if you guys want to follow me. So without further ado, let's get straight into this tutorial. It's a lot of fun to do because I don't really experiment with a lot of like the deep sub bassy type synths or sounds, but there's like Wook bass sounds. So there's like super deep, and like the tones you can really play with a lot and make unique and stuff. With this one, I took the reference track and then I found the kick and then the snare pattern. I mainly use 3 patches. So I have a sub bass, which is right here, and then I have the actual Wook bass for G-Rex's track, and then the white noise, this is going to be on top. This is going to be like the high end for the bass. So what we're doing really is layering sounds to get that G-Rex kind of sound. We're going to start with the Wook bass first. So here's the Wook bass just on its own. That's for like the first part of the drop, and then the second part. I think it just goes like a little bit higher in the tone. And then for the actual patch itself, there aren't any effects on this patch like at all. The main thing is just we're doing some FM work, and then we're using the LFO to give it like that wobble, that do. All I did was use basic shapes, and then with basic shapes, just keep it on the sine wave, and then you're gonna modulate the level with LFO1. You're gonna make kind of like a tooth or like a shark fin shape, kind of like this, and then you're gonna put it onto trigger and then put triplets on, and you're going to set it to 1/16 triplets. So once you drag it onto there, then you'll start getting like that fluttery sound. Oh yeah, also make sure that you guys are listening to this on headphones. So then after that, we put you put on another basic shapes, and with this one you're going to turn the wavetable position to the next shape. I think this is a saw. Yeah, it's a triangle. So this is a saw. So with this part, you can modify it to how you like. So like with the sync on, you can mess with that so that way you get different tones out of it. So I'll show you. But if you bring the sync up, you'll start to get different tones. So even if you mess around with it, maybe with another LFO, you can start doing things to it so that way you get different like sounds out of it, like different top end to it. I kept the octaves very low on it, and that was it. I didn't put a filter on it or anything. And then effects, nothing. So this is a real simple, easy type of like bass sound to use. A lot of it comes from what I did afterwards. So I added erosion and place it onto sine with these amounts and frequencies, so that way it gives it a certain tone. And after that, I put erosion with wide noise. So what this is doing is it's basically adding another top layer to the sound, so that way it sounds a little bit wider and it sounds a little bit fuller. I'll play it for you without like all this extra stuff on it, and then I'll explain to you guys what they do. See, so it's kind of just like a little fluttering, like sub kind of sound, but when you start adding erosion, then you get nice little like timbres to it. So watch, I'll bring this up and you'll start to hear it. So I'll just keep it like that for right now. To do this, I was kind of confused on how to make, I don't know, like the sound like full wide. Like, of course I'm going to add the white noise and other things to layer it to make it sound wider. But when I watched XLNTSOUND's tutorial on, I think it was the eliminate and hydraulics track, bump it, something like that, I saw how like they did their sub or like their bass sound to that track, and I really like the fat rack that they made. So shout out to XLNTSOUND, you guys are awesome. Make sure you guys check out their channel too, and I'll link it below too, so that way you guys can go check out that video, and just make sure that you support them too, because Danny and Parker are awesome guys. So with their fat rack, I just kept fat all the way up, and then I turned stereo up just a tiny bit. After that, I used the MSED plugin, which I've talked about before in a lot of my other videos. It's what I use all the time to push things to the side or into the middle, like mono. So I pushed this one in the mid 1.4 and also took the sides down. EQ 8, just did some mid-side EQ, real simple, just to take out the low end. Did it again. What happens is when you put one EQ, it cuts it, but you're gonna see some of it like bleeds out. Watch. See right there? So what I did was I just put another one. See how it's cutting a lot better? And then I did it a third time. Look at that, that's nice. That's nice and clean right behind that. Perfect. So when I did this cut, I made sure that the mid went in to really cut out those frequencies, because if you leave it up, there's like a lot of frequencies that you don't really need. There we go, that's what we need. And then just a little bit of the sides coming through, just like that. So that's all it took just to make like the Wook bass. But if you want to get more creative, what you do is you layer it. It'll make it sound a lot fuller. You can also get really creative with like the different tones and like layering techniques when you do it. So what I did for this one was I just used like standard white noise. That's what G-Rex was using, so I wanted to keep it pretty close. And with this one, I just used the noise oscillator in Serum and then a reverb filter. I kept the pattern and the LFO shape the same as what we used on the Wook bass. So I used this noise right here in analog. It's J106. Once I loaded in that noise oscillator, I just had the level bounce up and down, just kind of like what the Wook bass was doing. And then I added a reverb filter, and then you have to direct it to the noise. And with this one, I just put the LFO onto the pan knob, so that way pan, when you move it, like let's say I push it all the way over here, it's gonna push it, I think, hard left, or it's gonna make it very stereo to one side. I don't know if this is left or right, like if this is left or if that's right, I don't know. Damn, I don't know how to, so 50%. So that's just straight down the middle. So what I'm doing is I'm panning it to left or right, because apparently, I don't know which side goes to where, but it's just going to push it left and right just a bit. So it's going to give it like a nice little stereo effect, like going outwards. So it's wide pretty much. And then for the effects on the white noise, I just use some distortion to give it more top end, and then a multi-band compressor. And then after that, I did some erosion, just like I did on the Wook bass. Let's hear with it off. So I added erosion, put the fat rack on, but this time instead of making it like super fat, I kept it pretty low and made sure the stereo was all the way up. And then I'm just EQing it so that way the high end comes through and we don't need like those other frequencies in there. And then MSED, this time we're pushing it to the side 1.4, and then we're taking it down 1.4 for the mid. We have some sub work. Of course, you're gonna have to have headphones or like studio speakers to hear this. But this is just the preset from Virtual Riot's pack. It's the dedicated sub. Like tons of people use this sub right there. Serum presets volume 2. So with the sub, I don't think the LFO was like this. I think it was completely different. So I just made a shark fin, kind of like how the Wook bass is, and then I put it on 1/16 triplets, so that way it moves with the bass, and this way I don't have to put in like an auto pan in Ableton to do like the fluttering effect. I can just do it all in Serum. And then after that, I just put EQ8. And right here is controlling my volume, and then I have a glue compressor. That's it. That's all it is. It's pretty simple. I mean, it like took me a bit of time to get like the right sound to fit what it is that like G-Rex has, but this is what we got. And right here, I just grouped it all together and I put on a utility. Basically what this doing is sidechain. So this is something I learned from Moonboy. So like you can just draw in your sidechain here, and you're just basically messing with the gain for the utility. So it's doing sidechain for you. It's ducking the volume up and down, and with this way, like you can really like fine tune. So like let's say you have a kick that's really fat, but you want to use just like a quick sidechain for it. You can just draw it in. It's real easy instead of having to use the compressor. So like right here, like I think I kept it the same for like the kick and the snare, which I probably shouldn't have done, but like I have it this like crazy right here because of the kick, because the kind of kick it is. But like let's say that I wanted it to be sharper because I want the snare just to come through quickly, then boom, like that, like super quick duck. That's all you got to do. Real easy. So when I was doing this, I wanted to experiment with like different kinds of top ends too. So I found this sample on Splice, and then I tried using it. It just came out a little weird, but I was trying to experiment with using like a different top end. So you guys can do that too, and you can get really creative with it. But here is an extra way of how to make bass sounds like him. So Upsound has a YouTube, and they had G-Rex and Peekaboo do a live stream, and they were talking about how they did their track. I think it was a remix for ATLiens, Witch Doctor, that's what it was. I watched that video and I was able to recreate those sounds too. So this is what it sounds like. So yeah, you can do that just from samples of subs. You probably don't even need to use a sub either. Like you could probably just use a like different different kinds of sounds, you know, anything that has like some low end. So honestly, this is just what it is. It's just a sub. That's it. So what I did was I took the sample and I made one track as the top end and then one track just as the sub. So that's literally this, right? So all I did was throw on a saturator, and they talk about this in the video. So like I'll link that video too, so that way you guys can watch it. It's really long. It's like an hour long, but you should just watch the whole thing if you guys want to learn a lot. So basically you're using saturator, and saturator is gonna add a lot of tones to it, so you're gonna get a different sound out of it. And what they put it on it is sinoid fold right here. I don't know about the other ones. You can probably get different sounds from it. But for this purpose and like watching their video, I'm just going to use the same the sinoid fold. And if you change the bass, you'll start getting the different tones. There, I think that's what we had it on before. But saturator is just distortion, and the distortion is really messing with the sound. So then when you put an EQ8 on it and then you do crazy curves like this, you start emphasizing like the tonalities of what you're bringing out with the saturator. So now that I got like that cool tone that I like, then I put on a pipe resonator. So it's cool. It's like it gives it a little bit of delay and like reverb at the end, like a tail. And then it adds like this cool, like, I don't know, like a pipe sound, like pipe resonator. That makes sense. But it's like a pipe sound. All I did was mess with the tune, and I brought it to the same key as what the sub is. It's in E. So you just, you know, mess with the tune right here. So I got to E. And then I moved this. I don't know what it's called, but it messes with a bit. And then I turned the filter on. I think it was off. And the dry wet, I toned down a lot. Like, you don't need a lot for this one. Fat rack again. Fat at 53, stereo 200. And this is where it's really cool. You can get interesting sounds like this. So if you go to the top left, and I've talked about this before, if you type in Yo Man, there's a Yo Man sound that you can use in Ableton. It's not in another one, I think. But when you use that, you bring the modulation down. I think it's like somewhere over here, or I think it's up here in the top left corner. You bring it down to the bottom right, and then you can mess with the high pass. You can mess with the delay here, the polarity, the feedback, and the dry wet, and like you get tons of different results. I think I had it on 80. But yeah, like you can make a lot of cool different things out of it. I would just recommend like experimenting with different sub samples, or even just different samples that have cool low end, like I said before. And then you can start manipulating the audio and making cuts. So you can make like cool patterns. Like I made this pattern real quick. And then when you do this, just make sure that you do fades. Fades help so much when you're working with audio. You can really like dial in the sound, and basically you're like sculpting or like carving the sound. It's really cool. And then when you do that too, you can go in and you can start transposing it, making sure that it's on Complex Pro, because Complex Pro is amazing and you can get really, really cool sounds. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you really enjoyed it and I hope that you learned something from it. As always, I'm gonna have the Ableton file available for you guys to download along with the presets, just in case you're not in Ableton. So that way you guys can use it in Logic or Fruity Loop Studio, Reason, whatever you use. As long as you have Serum, it'll work. And like I said before, if you guys enjoyed this and you want to see more, make sure that you subscribe and that you hit the little bell icon so that way you get notified of when I put up a new video next time. And also, please make sure you guys leave recommendations on things that you want to see, or remakes, or just like any kind of video you want me to do. In the future, if I can do a meetup with people and people wanted to like hang out for the day and like go do stuff and talk production, that would be sick as fuck. I also want to do other videos where like I talk about what it's like being like a newcomer or like somebody that's trying to make it in EDM, like building a fan base, making music, making tracks, collaborating, meeting other artists, or like a video series on like document what's going on in like the life of a DJ producer. So far you see like all the big guys and like they have videos showing like how they get from one place to another, like in a jet or like a van or like a big bus, and then they get to the show, they play the show, they hang out with fans, and then like that's it. Like I think I want to do more to where like I show you guys everything behind the scenes. Like behind me, I just have a green screen. I'm in my garage. I have little lights around me, and like that's how I make my videos. I'm just a kid in his garage early in the morning talking to himself, making videos. So like I would love to show you guys like the whole process and how everything comes together. Damn, I'm rambling a lot, but yeah, that's what I have in mind for the future in like some other videos down the line. If you got to the end of the video, thank you so much. It means a lot to me that you take the time to watch this video, and it's really cool to know that there's people out there that enjoy what it is that I'm making and putting out, and that it's actually helping people. Like that's the main reason why I'm doing all of this. So thank you guys. For the next couple videos, I'm gonna try and do like a heckler or glades type of tutorial, and I'm gonna take on a sudden death style tutorial. That's gonna be really interesting. Sudden death is really good. I don't know if I can do it, but I'm gonna try. Somebody recommended sudden death. Let's do this. So I'm excited to show you guys the next video. Until next time, thank you guys so much. Peace out.